3.
This is a Fox News alert. Back in the U.S., I'm Sue Guzman. 17 American passengers in the cruise ship hit by the hantavirus outbreak have arrived home. HHS says one has mild symptoms, the other has tested positive. So we hear from Fox's Gernal Scott.
While the University of Nebraska Medical Center's National Quarantine Unit has agreed to receive the 17 Americans on board that cruise ship, it's not required they go there. Acting Director of the World Health Organization's Department of Epidemic and Pandemic Management, Maria Van Kerkhove, on Fox's The Sunday Briefing said that is part of WHO policy.
Active follow-up for 42 days. This would include checks, health checks by authorities, and either be quarantined at home or quarantined in a medical facility.
Kerkhove said real-time updates are shared with the CDC as patients are observed. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
President Trump rejecting Iran's response to a U.S. peace proposal to end the ongoing conflict. The president reacting on Truth Social.
The president wrote, "I have just read the response from Iran's so-called representatives. I don't like it. Totally unacceptable. Thank you for your attention to this matter."
Fox's Alex Hogan reporting. President Trump heads to Beijing this week for a high-stakes summit with China's leader.
This week's trip to China will be the first by an American president since President Trump traveled to Beijing back in 2017. It comes amid trade tensions and the ongoing war in Iran. President Trump has met several times with China's President Xi Jinping, and both leaders have expressed a commitment to fostering a strong bilateral relationship. That relationship has been strained at times with tit-for-tat tariffs amid negotiations over a long-term trade deal.
America's listening to Fox News.
Hello, everyone. This is Ainsley Earhart. Thank you for joining me for the 52-episode podcast series, The Life of Jesus.
Neil McDonough portrays Jesus. Stacey Keach, Sean Astin, Michael York, and Kristen Bell provide the voices for some of Jesus' notable followers. A listening experience that will provide hope, comfort, and understanding of the greatest story ever told, the life of Jesus.
Make sure to spread the word.
Listen and follow now at foxnewspodcasts.com or wherever you listen to podcasts. From the Fox News Podcasts Network.
This is Jason Chaffetz from the Jason in the House podcast. Join me every Monday to dive deeper into the latest political headlines and chat with remarkable guests to hear their take on American life, politics, and entertainment. And don't forget, there's always somebody doing something stupid somewhere.
Listen and follow now at foxnewspodcast.com
or wherever you download podcasts.
Must listen to podcasts from Fox News Audio.
The man accused of opening fire at the White House Correspondents' Dinner last month is due in court today. Fox's Tanya J. Powers has more.
Cole Allen faces 4 federal charges, including attempting Trump and assault on a federal law enforcement officer with a deadly weapon. Prosecutors say Allen was armed with a shotgun, handgun, and knives when he tried to break through a security checkpoint at the Washington Hilton on April 25th, where the White House Correspondents' Dinner was being held and attended by President Trump, administration members, and the press. Allen is accused of shooting a uniformed Secret Service officer who was hit on his protective vest and was not seriously hurt. Allen has not yet entered a plea and has been behind bars since he was apprehended. Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
Missing U.S. soldiers found in Morocco, and another is still missing. Fox's Marianne Rafferty has more.
The body of an American soldier who went missing while in Morocco for military drills has been found. First Lieutenant Lamont Key Jr. and another soldier disappeared about a week ago. A preliminary report says the two were part of a group who went on a hike to watch a sunset. One reportedly couldn't swim, and the second soldier and others attempted a rescue. The Army says search operations for the other service member will continue. That soldier has not been identified.
27-year-old First Lieutenant Kendrick Lamont Key Jr. was off duty on that hike with another soldier when they fell off a cliff. The other soldier still missing. More pain at the pump for Americans as gas prices in the U.S. continue their upward climb. Industry analyst Trilby Lundberg tells us where those prices stand.
The average price of gasoline jumped 41 cents in the past 2 weeks. The new price is $4.55 per gallon for a regular grade.
And she says the demand in the spring and summer naturally goes up as well. She says gas prices are $1.53 higher than they were before the Iran conflict began and $1.33 more than a year ago. I'm Sue Guzman. This is Fox.
Finally, now on Guam, KFC. From KFC, introducing the all-new KFC Original Honey Barbecue Extra Crispy Chicken. Golden, crispy, and dunked in that rich, tangy, smoky, saucy, sticky, finger-licking honey barbecue goodness. Only at KFC. If you're a sauce with the side of chicken kind of person, this is your moment. So head to KFC and don't forget the napkins. No, seriously, napkins, plural, only at KFC Guam. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
Whoever said no risk, no reward has never been sued. Hi, I'm Dave Silva from AB Risk Solutions, and our job for over 70 years has been to help businesses just like yours manage risk. Manage risk? We will never be able to totally eliminate the myriad of risks every business faces, but we can help you manage them and recover when disaster strikes. From mom and pop operations to high-rise hotels, we're the experts businesses have counted on for many years. Call me today at 777-2668 for a free risk review and consultation.
AB Risk Solutions, formerly known as Aon.
Stay cool all year round by checking out Johnstone Supply for your HVAC and refrigeration needs. Located at 170 Guerrero Drive on Picanel Road in Tamuning, call Johnstone Supply today at 671-649-0581. That's 671-649-0581. Open 8 a.m. to noon and 1 to 5 p.m. Monday to Friday. Open Saturdays from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. and closed on Sundays. Stay cool with Johnstone Supply.
May is Stroke Awareness Month, and it's crucial to recognize the signs. Do you know BFAST? BEFAST. It stands for balance, eyes, face, arms, speech, and time. These are the symptoms you need to watch out for. Let me break this down for you. BFAST, balance issues, sudden trouble with vision, facial drooping, arm weakness, slurred speech, and it's time to call emergency services. Remember, folks, when it comes to strokes, time is brain. Act fast, save a life. Learn the BFAST symptoms today. Brought to you by Guam Regional Medical City, advocating for stroke awareness and prevention. Visit us at www.grmc.gu.
The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent. It's 1800 hours and 7 minutes. Time for Veterans with Benefits with your veteran hosts, Karina Ballista and Ray Shinahara.
Half a day. Welcome back. You too, Ray.
Yeah, thanks.
You left me.
Hey, everybody.
All by myself.
I know. Sorry. I had a pinched nerve in the back. No bueno.
And then Anthony's not here because, he's running for senator. Thank you to our sponsors, Ambrose Inc., Habsaba Family Medical Clinic, American Legion Post 1, Domino's Pizza. Thank you to Dane, Master Blasters, for all your blasting needs. The most services with Rob Jackson. Oh, Rob, I talked to you today. Thank you for reaching out. JTC Services, also a veteran-owned company, and 11Z's. I think, what do you got there? You got a black coffee?
Same thing I get every time, black coffee.
Yeah, it's 11% discount for veterans and military. And the nonprofit organization we're a part of, HMI. Guam Junk Callers. Oh, my God. Watch the videos on Instagram. They are so funny. You can call them at 671-788-JUNK. Local Jerk. I think Marvin's off island. Marvin Crisostomo. Also another veteran-owned company. And In-N-Out Barbecue. I think a veteran works there sometimes. You're listening to Veterans with Benefits on 93.3. You can call on a 671-888-TALK. And my favorite part of the show, Veteran of the Week. Veteran of the Week is Joseph Shimizu Jesus, U.S. Army. This week, we're proud to honor Specialist Joseph Shimizu Jesus for his honorable service to our nation, a son of Guam. He answered the call to serve and entered active duty in the United States Army in April 1983. He served 3 years in active duty as a 51 Mike firefighter, a member of the Army Specialized Firefighting Community responsible for protecting aircraft, fuel, motor pools, and the lives of fellow service members on installations around the world. Few military specialties demand more courage in the moment or more discipline in training, and he wore that responsibility well. He further broadened his technical skill set by completing the 13-week Meteorological Observer course in November '83, adding weather observation to his trade. His final active duty assignment was with the 114th Engineer Detachment, and he separated at Fort Campbell, Kentucky in in April 1986. Upon completion of his term of service, his character of service was honorable, with the re-enlistment eligibility. Over the course of his enlistment, Specialist Jesus earned the Good Conduct Medal, the Army Service Ribbon, the Expert Badge with the M16 rifle, the Expert Badge with the hand grenade, the Army lapel button, and the Driver Badge. His 2 expert marksmanship qualifications are a particular point of pride, recognizing the top tier of weapons proficiency that only a fraction of soldiers achieve. After completing his active service, Specialist Jesus returned home to Guam, where he continues to be part of the broader military support of the island community. To Specialist Jesus, thank you for your service, your discipline, and the example you have set for those who came after you. To Jules Maasi for Veteran of the Week.
Thank you for your service.
Yes, so happy. And happy Mother's Day, because Mother's Day in the States.
To all those mamas.
Yes, I think I sent you a picture, Jose, of my mom. They're here visiting from Vegas. So we love seafood as family, and we just knew we wanted to be at home and comfortable. So what we did was we had some Dungeness crab. We had oh, there it is. There's a mom. Are you showing it on screen? I think so. Yes. So we had Dungeness crab. We had clusters. My sister made these like they're called steak pockets. She put like ribeye inside with some like red potatoes. It was so good. I should have sent you the pictures. I should have sent you that.
You should have just sent me some balutan.
Right? It was just right down the road
that
from you.
That actually sounds pretty good.
I know. And then we also had seafood boil. So we did my sister and her husband did the crab legs, the eggs, the corn, the potatoes, and they made the Cajun dressing. It was so yummy. I think we probably ate like 2 times. And instead of a giant dessert, we had fresh fruit for dessert. And then my sister.
What a healthy choice.
I know, right? Like how to balance it, right? So happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there and all those that are mom figures as well.
Yeah.
So. All right. We wrapped up boot camp 51, 52. What are we? Oh, we got a phone call already. Wow. Okay.
We have a Mr. Ray on the line.
Mr. Ray. Okay. Okay, Ray. Oh, did I answer it? Is he there?
Other button.
Oh, other button.
Off day. Welcome to Veterans with Benefits.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes.
Shoot. Last night we entertained a male individual who is military Army, has serious PTSD, and the night before we took him to mental health because of his PTSD. Mental health released him. So last night back home, his PTSD started acting up again. So being that I was prior in military also, I started talking to him in military jargon, and it kind of settled him down. So he agreed to go back to mental health again. The problem that we're having is we do not want to arrest this individual because you know what? I'm military Army, and so I know how he feels. But what can we do with the VA to help this guy? Because we don't want to arrest him, and mental health's not going to do anything with him. So what is our options?
Yeah.
What is
Ray,
my options?
Thanks for calling, man, and talking about this. You know, it definitely hits home. It is May Mental Health Month, and you're talking about PTSD. PTSD it could be a debilitating condition to some people. You know, and the behaviors that some people have can be varied. And you're talking about, you know, he was put at mental health. You're talking about Guam Behavioral?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So if he wants to, you know, if he needs help, he's definitely getting it at Guam Behavioral, right? It gives him some time to reflect and, you know, get out of that state of mind. But in reality, especially with guys that have PTSD, like we have to go see the appropriate providers for that. So whether he's going to the CBOC and seeing a psychiatrist, or maintaining by going to Guam, the Guam Vet Center at in Mighty, and having counseling like once a week or something like that, and you know, having a safety plan, because that's what their provider is going to be talking about. Like, let's have a safety plan, just so if you do have this negative experience with your PTSD, like you have avenues to use to get help, right? And thank you for being there for him, being a fellow service member. But yeah, man, has he been to the CBOC or the vet
yes,
center?
yes, I have.
Okay.
And
Is he on medication?
yes, and
Is he taking his medication?
yes.
Okay.
When I talked to him about going to Guam Behavioral,
Yeah.
he says, you know what? They don't seem to really want to help me. Now, I asked him if he was able to speak with Tony or Karina,
Mm-hmm.
and he didn't even know who they were. I said, hold on. I will put you in touch with them,
Yeah.
and we'll see what they can do to help you, because they are very good at what they do, and they will be able to help you.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. So if he is seeing the CBOC and everything like that, and he's not happy with that kind of help, I'd be more than likely to come talk to him if you want me to. You could leave your information with the producer after we're done here.
Or I can just give it to him, Ray.
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Cool.
So
Karina
his name
knows
is
who I
Ray, and
am,
your name is
so-
Ray.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I know the Ray caller because
Cool.
he did call me last night.
Yeah.
And I did call him back, but I think he was busy with.
Yeah, when
Yeah.
he called, we were like really busy, and part of it was him that we were dealing with at the time
Oh.
that you called. That's why I was trying to call you to say, what can we do with this guy, man? Because
Yeah.
right when I answered the phone, second down, and said, hey, sir, and I can't give you his name. I
No,
said,
it's
"Hey,
okay.
sir,
It's okay. It's okay.
you know what? You're Army, right? He said, yeah, dude. He said, produce. I said, okay, brother, I'm 1st Battalion, 14th Infantry, Golden Dragons. And, it kind of settled him down.
That's awesome.
And then we started talking real good.
Yeah.
I said, bro, I know how you feel.
Yeah.
I really do.
Ray,
man,
Ray,
you
Ray,
get
the
me help.
radio host. I thought there was a rapid response team. What's going on with that?
There is, but if he's already going to Guam Behavioral, then he's already there,
No,
right?
the CRT team
MCRT.
actually went and talked to him.
Okay. Cool.
And so, yes, people are talking to him, but, when he goes home, something triggers him.
Mm-hmm.
And then he just kind of goes all nuts. So
Yeah.
I told him, man, guy, take your medication. That's really going to help you. And if you really need help, just call this number. And I gave him my number. I said, talk to me.
Yeah.
Just call me and talk to me.
You
And we'll try to help you.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought, thanks for calling. I think the biggest thing out of this, especially for all the listeners, is, if you need help, ask for it. I just so happen to be a social worker that specializes in behavioral mental health, so I help a lot of individuals with PTSD, traumatic brain injury, and some other mental health issues that they have. But the first thing we need to do is ask for that help. It's nice that hearing that he went to go get help and you helped him with that as well. But it's just being consistent with the medication, getting the help.
But they go on police officer contract.
Yeah.
No, but I refer him to the Health Support Clinic.
Okay.
Meet with Karina and Tony.
Awesome.
I've got a call right now that's coming in, so I'm going to have to cut it short.
Okay. Thanks, brother, for the call. Appreciate it.
I'll
I'll hear from you later.
You guys.
All right.
All right.
Okay. Bye bye. Wow, that was
Yeah.
that was a great call.
It was, and I guess it's a good segue into mental health. I know we have a bunch of things to talk about, but I think we should capitalize on this moment, it being May Mental Health Month. Understanding what mental health is, right? Especially for individuals that have went to war, whether it was Iraq, Afghanistan, the latest wars, the previous wars. You take in a lot, and when you're in the military, especially with the military culture, you're left to just sit with it, right? You don't talk to anybody because you have too much pride to ask for help. And for the most part, some people are still struggling with that, right? Mm-hmm. And being able to be open, honest, and vulnerable and to talk about it, we can get help with those feelings, sensations that we experience that affect our lives in a negative way. When you guys go through therapy, a lot of times they're teaching you better habits and behaviors that you could do to live a better life. Some people are triggered, or a familiarity with a traumatic event could make you feel that particular way or in a negative way. And we try to change that behavior by reassuring them that they're okay, because they're in a better state at this time, a better environment. Not like the war. And what do we need to do to change some of those behaviors? And sometimes, another negative thing that veterans go through, some, not all, but there is a huge population of them, we get into drug use. And sometimes those drug use gives us exacerbated conditions or or experiences, and we go a little crazy, right? And there are a lot of programs that are out there to help them, whether it's local or with the federal side. We have programs to help, to include PTSD. We have, if you're willing to get better, the VA could set you up with a program to help you with your PTSD. And it may not be here on Guam. It may be in, California or in Texas, a 3-week, depending on your situation, to help you deal with your PTSD, your mental health, your drug addiction, whatever you're going through, to help you out. But really what it is asking for that kind of help. And even if you don't know what you're going through, it's really good to just go and get checked, right? Let the doctor know that you're dealing with something and you can't really control it, that you need someone to talk to, right? And we have those systems in place here on Guam to help people. And if you need extra services, they are definitely available. They just may not be here on Guam. But anybody that's out there that's struggling with mental health issues, remember, you're never alone, and there is always help.
And, one of the important things that, Ray mentioned is family, right? He's at home with family, and he got triggered at home. So there has to be some resources for family as well, because there's a lot of spouses that also deal with this, and most spouses were not in the military, so they're not veterans, and so it's already, number one, trying to interpret what the veteran went through, and try to help them, right? And what are the triggers, right? Because most people will say, well, I'm done. I don't want to stay in this anymore. I can't deal with it because I don't know how, and I really don't have the resources to get me through it.
And like I first started out with this whole conversation, PTSD can be debilitating, right? Like, you're not able to perform regular tasks anymore because of your particular condition. And some people are probably not even diagnosed with that condition yet, right? And because of certain conditions that we have, because of the extremity of some, you may be able to apply for the caregiver program, right? Where now your wife is getting paid to take care of you when she already has been taking care of you, or one of your family members or whatnot. But like, is there resources for families? Absolutely. It may not be directly with the local systems or whatever, but there's tons of groups on Facebook. There's tons of groups, nationally to help with that gap that's out there, because the family definitely is affected when someone is dealing with mental health issues when it comes to that veteran. And there are resources and services there to help. And here's an easy one: the Semper Fi American Fund. I work with them a lot, and they help not only the veteran, but their families. They do workshops, work groups. They go on little staycation trips and stuff like that. And within those programs that they have, they try to help the veteran and the family get better by understanding what are the triggers, what's happening with them, some of the resources that could help them out, different activities the family could go through to help rebuild their union, right? The family. And there is always hope when it comes to that. But at the end of the day, they have to go ask for it. In some cases, sometimes, and it's hard to say, especially, being from Guam, is, sometimes the family is the problem, right? And it's not a bad thing. There are some cases where, whether it's your nuclear family or the family that you were just, accustomed to because they're your close friends and everything like that. Sometimes that particular family, has bad habits that trigger you, and you stay with them because they are your family. And it hurts us, in the long run when we stay with that kind of negative environment, right? And sometimes it's necessary for us to displace and move somewhere else so we could live a better life, not have any of the bad habits that are in the, in the area. For some veterans, bad habits could be drinking. It could be alcohol. It could be drugs. It could be all sorts of things, different lifestyles. And, you have to remember, some of these people that joined the military were usually trying to run away from something, like, I want to be independent. I want to do my own thing, but I don't want to be a part of this existing culture that I have, wherever you come from. But eventually you have to get out. And some people go back to that same thing, whether you were, you were in a low income family and you were just like surviving and everything. Sometimes we go back to that. And you have to think about it. You were given so many opportunities in the military And you still have opportunities because of your military service to live that better life. Education, VA home loan, VA business loan, all of these benefits that are afforded to you. And some of these people, when they get out, they just don't care. And that's the reality. And if you cared a little bit and invested a little bit into you, whether it's your mental health or your financial wealth or just your well-being, we can live a better life. So it wraps around completely when it comes to mental health and like your state of mind and how you see the world. And that's really why you would see a therapist, right? Is because you may have issues with the people around you or yourself, and what you're feeling. So you would come see a therapist so we could change some of those habits and behaviors so we could live that better life by adopting new behaviors and new habits.
And the vet center is somewhere they can go to for free.
Absolutely free. So, if you are interested in getting services when it comes to mental health, go to the vet center that's on the 3rd floor at First Hawaiian Bank in Mighty. Knock on their door, schedule an appointment, or call them. But if they don't answer, then go to their door, knock on it, and schedule an appointment. And if for some reason you feel uncomfortable because you know somebody there, or you just don't feel as comfortable, face to face, there's always online. That's the beauty of technology. You could go to the CBOC for that. Tell your primary care that I'm dealing with something, and I would really like to talk to a mental health provider, and they'll set you up with a room with a camera and a microphone, and you just talk to somebody in Hawaii, Texas, Utah, wherever.
Colorado.
Yeah, and you just do telehealth. And I think that's amazing when you think about VA services, that they have that, and it's not something that's advertised. But I'm telling you right now, if you need help, there is help. All you have to do is ask for it. Go to the CBOC and ask for a counselor, or go see a psychiatrist if you need medication. And if you are on medication, make sure you take it.
Gratefully, that stigma of seeking mental health is it's still there, but it's not as prevalent as before. My dad was a veteran. He still is a veteran. He has since deceased, but I could see it in him that there was always something behind that he would like to talk about. He never talked about his service, but he was proud of his service. He was in Vietnam, and it wasn't until his later years that he was able to express some of the things that happened to him, and even the events that led up to receiving a Purple Heart. We've never discussed that before. However, I think it really is incumbent on those who still have a reluctance to seek mental health to do talk to somebody in your circle or your friend or family, because I guarantee one or more have seen a therapist or have talked to people in a professional capacity, and it has helped them. And if you seek the help, you're going to get it.
Yeah.
Well, and like Ray said, a lot of those that are dealing with PTSD symptoms don't want to admit it, but it's affecting the family. That's why they need to go get the diagnosis so they can get the help and the care.
Yeah. And, Jose, you said something, pretty powerful, being proud of your service, right? I think everybody should be proud of their service. Thank you for your service. And, whether you were the butcher, the baker, or the candlestick maker in the military, you played a vital role in making sure that wheel turns. And a lot of the stories and everything go to the guys that are fighting on the battlefield, but it's those other guys and gals that are supporting those war fighters that also put in a lot of sacrifice. So if you need help, go get it, because it's there for us. And that's the beauty of the benefits that we have as veterans with benefits, is there's a lot of help for us. We just have to ask for it, right?
And let's go over the numbers one more time. So it's 988, and then if you want to speak to a veteran.
Yeah, press 1. Uno.
And that works here on Guam and in the States.
Yeah, absolutely. It works anywhere.
And it's 24/7.
24/7. 24/7. 365 days. And it sounds like a commercial.
Yeah, time for a break. You're listening to Veterans with Benefits. We'll be right back.
See you on the side.
Are you planning a wedding? Don't stress. Let us help you. Mark the date, Sunday, June 14th from 10 to 4 at Lotte Hotel Guam. Come out to our 3rd annual Island Wedding Expo and meet some of the best in the business. Don't miss your chance to win a flyaway from Philippine Airlines. And plan your special day with Watabe Wedding. Enjoy options for sweet treats from 11 Seas and Crumb. Stunning invitations and prints by Island Color and Copy. Custom creations from Personal Prints and Events. Jewelry from Vince Jewelers and Star Jewelry. Entertainment by Voice Pros. Performances by Tutuha Fire and cultural dancers. Custom rings by Isla Jewelry. Rod Cheng Batimana, your insurance services specialist and traveling notary public. And next level vibes with Stelstar and Alter Ego, plus Crank Industries. Sunday, June 14th, 10 to 4, presented by Lotte Hotel Guam, The Point, Star 101, and Boss 104.
And we're back. I sent Ray, if you're listening, Ray, I sent the other Ray radio host your information. So of course, definitely offline, share the story, because I know I did call you back, but you were busy, like you said. We're gonna say hello to those online.
Yeah.
Marvin Ike, which I know him as Ike Online Listening, and Elizabeth Kichichu, she says watching. Al Valentine, HMI Rocks. Hello, Al. Thank you. Brennan Fausto, good evening, veteran warfighters. Also, happy blessed Mother's Day. And then Brennan Fausto saying hello. And then Jose is responding. Hafide Senor. So I'm just going to go over what we were going to talk about before we get into our next huge topic. We wanted to talk about, we just wrapped up Benefits Boot Camp in Talafofo. I think I sent you some of the photos, Jose. Thank you to Mayor Taidagui down there. And then we also had Mayor from Minarahan, Tony Chargaloff, he brought some food. So, HMI is a veteran nonprofit organization, and we operate off of donations. So I think this was second day. I think we took a picture first day, but this one was second day. And we had, veterans joining us every day. Of course, veterans only think it's one day. No, it's a 3-day event. And then the mayor brought us the cake, Biba Veterans. Very, very good showing for it being in Talafofo. We had a lot of veterans that lived in Cross Island Road, Talafofo, Jotnia, down south that joined us there. It was at the Jeremy Newby Community Youth Center, and it was a great turnout. Thank you to the mayor and his staff. Always great hospitality down there. And the next one is, if you missed that one, the next one is Dededo Mayor's Office Boot Camp 53 in June 9, 10, 11. Dededo Mayor's Office. That one is going to be a big one. The last time we had one in Dededo, we had over 70 veterans. I couldn't even say hi to everyone and talk to everyone. That's how crowded it was. And then July, also another big one. July 7 to 9 at the Jigo Senior Citizen Center next to the baseball field.
Exciting.
Yes, and that's where we live. So that's going to be fun. What else do we have? We have the golf tournament May 23rd at Sono Felice, and then our fishing tournament July 18. But what we want to talk about is what is happening tomorrow. And that is a hearing, an oversight hearing. We received an invitation from Senator Sabrina Salas Mantanani. She is the legislative secretary. She's also the chairperson on Committee on Health and Veteran Affairs. So this is an oversight hearing, and it will be tomorrow, May 12, 2 p.m. in the public hearing room, Guam Congress Building. And this is to provide questions and insights on the following: modernization and infrastructure plan, relocation to former Chancery Building, staff, digitization of Veterans Registry and claim systems, improvements to Guam Veterans Cemetery, integrated information systems, implementation of Veteran Information Management System, establishment of interagency data sharing frameworks, the website, strategic communications and outreach, social media presence, public information campaigns, partnerships with veterans organizations, finances, lapse funds, federal grants, special funds, cemetery trust fund, and plot allowances from the VA, and then certificate for veteran registration, veteran benefit claims, equipment, and materials. So Senator Sabrina Salas Manzanani's office sent it to a bunch of people, but hopefully, and, HMI is being a veteran nonprofit organization, they sent it to us. Did you guys get any sort of notification, Jose, as a radio station, or?
I do not know.
Because normally, right, wouldn't they
I'm
send
not in
it
that
to, you know what I mean? Like, wouldn't they send it to media outlets, right?
Right.
Well, we sent it to all of the veterans, and I hope we have a good showing. Some veterans voiced their concern that they did want to share their experiences, because when veterans call this office, they'll call me and say, "Hey, no one answered the phone, no one was there, they treated me like a criminal, they need better training on how to talk to people." Those are the kind of responses I receive from veterans.
So with this this whole hearing, why is it important for veterans?
Because transparency. They don't send out any newsletters. Their website's hard to navigate. No one's telling the veterans anything. And all of these affect veterans.
Yeah, especially
every single
veterans
one of them.
that live here on Guam.
And their families.
Yeah.
And their families.
So if you're a veteran and you're invested into Guam, maybe you should go check out, maybe do a testimony, particular on some of these subjects that are here. And maybe you can make a difference into changing policy that affects veterans here on the island.
And I want to talk about relocation to the former Chancery building. We got a phone call 2 weeks ago from a veteran that said, "Hey, do you know where the ASEN office went?" I said, "What ASEN office?" And they said, "The GOVA office." I said, "What do you mean?" "Well, no one's here. The door's locked. No one's answering. And I know they're open. Where are they?" And I said, "I do not know. There was no formal notification that they're moving. There was no newsletter sent out. There was no notification anywhere that they had moved." So hopefully we get a clearer picture on when they're moving, if they're moving, and this is important, are you closed while you're transitioning, right?
Yeah.
Because we don't want to send veterans to a building that's shuttered with no communication.
Yeah.
You're just not going to shut down and then, we're just going to open in a few weeks. But right now there are no services, because that's important. Because guess who needs to go there?
The
Veterans who have to bury their families have to bury their veteran, and veterans who need driver's license, right, with the veteran distinction, and veterans who are applying for the 100% veterans that are applying for the waiver for the, what is it? The
license plate?
No. The 100% veterans, property tax. Sorry, property tax. They need forms there. And veterans who need a copy of the DD-214, because they store them there in a box, in a shelf. That's a hazard. And staff. Staff is the next one.
Are you reading your testimony?
No, I'm remembering from Sabrina Salas Manzanani's video that she did. Her very first visit to the office was her office recorded where they keep the DD-214s in a hazardous office on the second floor.
So this is the second oversight hearing this year.
I think this is the second or the third.
The third? So we should have an update from the last one.
Exactly.
I'm going to look forward. What time is this again?
2 p.m.
2 p.m. Okay.
Tomorrow. So this is very important. And then, Ray and I had a healthy debate earlier before we came on the show. Digitization of veterans registry and claim systems.
Yeah. Whoa. That's a lot.
I didn't know that is it called intern?
Yeah,
Was
so
it intern
a little
or work study
backstory
there?
of my social work career is when I was doing my bachelor's degree, I spent some time at GOVA as one of the interns. I was particularly there to figure out why veterans weren't getting the help that they deserve here, right? And I say this because, I have to go to the VA and I need some of these services. And sometimes they're like, no, we don't have it here. You have to go somewhere else. Or I'll hear stories of my friends. And I'm going to college and I have a lot of veterans hanging out with me. And they had a bunch of issues. So I was like, okay, perfect. Now I have the source of where all of these these frustrations are, and then I am working at a place that that is supposed to help facilitate that, right? And then understanding how like GOVA actually works. And at the same time, there was an initiative to collect the numbers of the amount of veterans that are here. So with my study that I was trying to research, that I was trying to collect, I was trying to collect, what's the problem? Why can't we have a hospital here, right? Or why can't we have this service or that service here? And a lot of the answers came to, we don't have the numbers, right? So I got with the Congresswoman's office. I got with, GOVA. I got with a bunch of veteran organizations. I tried to get with the clinic, but they don't want to talk to me. Plus, I'm a student, so nobody cares. But I was taking it seriously. This wasn't one of those like projects that, we're just gonna, pretend. Like, this was a serious project and one that was near and dear to my heart. And eventually found out that there's a lot of issues when it comes to counting people, because you have to verify if these individuals are actually veterans. Because how many people do you know that pretend they were in the service, right? Or, have this intense career. And those are like confounding factors that play into the number of how many people that we have here on Guam. But at the end of the day, there is a lot of personal information that is on the DD-214 or to verify if somebody is who they are. And nobody was connecting anything together, from the Congresswoman's office to GOVA to, the VA here on Guam and the clinic and everything. And, that could be fixed with like, an MOU or, a disclaimer form or release of information. But, if you think about it, like a lot of these people who just sign a form, like they're not releasing their information to you. So technically I can't verify if this person, is it, because I'm going to be receiving their information. So there's a lot of administrative issues that happen when it comes to collecting that number. And really it just takes, a system or a good amount of people to come together and just collect this information. It would be that easy, but it's not that easy when it comes to, personal information.
And what year was this?
This is back in 2018.
And guess what? Nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed.
It is 2026.
That's why it's a little frustrating, because I did a lot of work.
Has changed.
A lot of work.
And tell me about this master plan that you came up with.
So in trying to figure out, like, how to make it easier to collect all this information, right? It's just getting everybody together that already has existing information and cross-reference everything so we could have a consolidated number, right? But when we think about some of the data collecting points that we have, whether it's a nonprofit who collected or, Congresswoman Madeline Berdalio or, the Guam GOVA, Guam Veterans Affairs Office, not everybody collect the same data. But like, what do you really need to do to verify if a veteran's a veteran, right? You need access to the system that DOD or the VA, you need their social security number. Some people didn't collect that stuff. So it's like Joe Cruz.
Which one?
How many Joe Cruzes are there, right?
Yeah.
So like that becomes an issue, right? And we probably have like 100 Joe Cruzes that were in the military or, whatever. But that becomes a problem. And when you start getting, a sample size like, this big, over time that becomes this big. And then what was the point of me collecting that data in the first place, right? And with so many organizations trying to do it, there's a lot of veterans who are like, I am done giving my information.
That's true. Mm-hmm.
Right? Whether it's, when I first started getting into this, I was working with, it's a really long organization name, the Iraq-Afghanistan Persian Gulf War Veterans of Guam. Is super long, right? And they had a lot of information. They were really good on social media and everything, and it was led by this like really cool dude, and he had a really good following. But then eventually, it just disappeared, and so did all that information, right? So if we could collect that information from everybody that signed in with them, prior to 2016, that's when I first met those guys, and consolidate that with, Madeline Berdalio's, collection, and then with GOVA's collection, and then with any other organizations that have it, cross-reference it, cancel out everybody that, is a duplicate, we could have somewhat of a good number, right? And then we also have to deal with the veterans who passed away, because they're not a part of the count anymore.
Right.
And, sometimes when we're collecting this information, especially from GOVA, we get all those DD-214s, and Guam is a home of record. GOVA gets a lot of the DD-214s later down the road. So we don't know if those individuals are here, gone, passed away.
Well, and that's another thing. When you do start service, you're able to check a box, right? Where do you want your DD-214 to go? Yeah. Your home of record. And if Guam is your home of record, like you said, the office down in Assen is the one that gets these records. I think we're going to take a break. Yes.
Oh, another break.
You're listening to Veterans with Benefits. We'll be right back.
Finally, now on Guam, KFC. From KFC, introducing the all-new KFC Original Honey Barbecue Extra Crispy Chicken. Golden, crispy, and dunked in that rich, tangy, smoky, saucy, sticky, finger-licking honey barbecue goodness. Only at KFC. If you're a sauce with the side of chicken kind of person, this is your moment. So head to KFC and don't forget the napkins. No, seriously, napkins, plural, only at KFC Guam. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
Listen to The Point anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Find your favorite stations like The Point and discover more. Music stations, local and trusted news sources, sports talk and team coverage, plus today's biggest podcasts. Find it all on the Odyssey app. AUDACY.
And we're back. So, I just want to. There's one more thing I want to touch on before we continue with that. I had a phone call just heading here to our radio show. Mm-hmm. It was from a veteran that attended our summit up at Anderson. And she said, hey, is it true that I have a deadline to file? I said, who told you that? And she says, oh, I spoke to someone at the Anderson Clinic. I said, when do you separate? Because she's separating. She's not retiring. And she says, I separate in June. I said, no, there's no deadline to file. So what deadline? Not a deadline, but it's a cutoff for those that are separating active duty. It's called BDD, benefits at discharge. So they have anywhere from 120 to 90 days to file. So when they're in place, right, they have all their CMP exams. And then the very next day, once they get their DD-214 and they're officially out of the military, they get the percentage. Mm-hmm. Because while they were active duty, they were going through all their exams. Mm-hmm. So I told her, I said, no, there's no deadline. I explained to her the BDD process, but that's different. It doesn't matter. File your claim. And she said, okay. She said, I'm getting a different response. And so she didn't attend every single day of our summit. So I think she missed that part. Yeah. When I talked about BDD. And, that's why, I know it's hard for people to make it to our boot camp for 3 nights straight. But I tell the veterans, this is free. We're a nonprofit. Yeah. This is for you. And some veterans are just really busy with life. Yeah. And it's funny because the ones that commit and show up are the ones who had a family member that actually went through the process with HMI. Mm-hmm. And they're pushing their family, like, go do this, you need to do this. And I don't know why some veterans keep it a secret, but it's not a secret.
No, it's not
File your
a secret.
claim.
No.
You served, and now you deserve these benefits, and we're just telling you the benefits are here. You just have to apply for them, right? Just like you were talking about mental health earlier. There are resources, you just have to ask or utilize them. Mm-hmm. Not many veterans know, right, that these exist. Anyways, moving back, there's no deadline to file a claim. File your claim. Improvements, right? Because you and I had a conversation, right, about the roles and responsibilities of the office down in Assen, and you said,
oh wow, you're calling me out on the radio.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Because you said their goal or their role is to take care of the veteran cemetery. Mm-hmm. And I said, no, Ray, no.
That's because everything else is redundant, right? So they do
redundant as in
there's other organizations that do that on the federal
side.
Right,
but they are the state office. So there's federal, right? What we talked about earlier, that's the Tizen office. Mm-hmm. And then there's state, which is Guam. We're not a state, but we still have that office, and that's still their role. And then you brought up, but they're supposed to provide counseling. So
no, you're taking
on the website
context right now.
No, but on the website, I went to look. You know what they said on their website? Their website says, we have 3 important roles that we provide, right? And one of them is counseling. Second one is home hospital visits. Third one is health services. And fourth one is burial benefits. And I don't know what year that was updated, but I went to look at their SOP. Their last SOP was updated February 18, 2019. It is 2026. And I know a few policies, laws have been passed since then. This just goes to show like their website hasn't been updated. Okay, so the next one is improvements to Guam Veterans Cemetery. And, passing by, you would think that that's like their one role. Take care of us. This is where I want to rest. Guam Veterans Cemetery. Expansion. I know since we've been doing, since I've been a part of HMI, I know there's probably about 30 to 40 veterans that pass away a year. And, when you go there and you see the grounds, you're wondering, where are the veterans? Or when it's my turn, where will I be resting, right? When looks like they're running out of space. And so, yes, there are a lot of people that are staying on top of the Guam Veterans Cemetery, because in our boot camp this past week, I was asked, why aren't we a federal VA cemetery? And I don't know the answer to that. I don't know if that's something I have to talk to the congressman about. How does Guam apply to have our cemetery be part of federal, right? Because the employees down there, those are GovGuam employees. Those aren't federal employees. And then another veteran in the crowd said, they throw away my flowers after 2 days. And the response from the staff that work there, that's true. We follow federal guidelines. You can't leave anything there more than a few days, whatever you put down there, whether that's candles, flowers, anything. So why do you think that their only rule is to be the veteran cemetery?
What I was trying to tell you was that one of their sole roles is the veteran cemetery, right? They take care of the veterans, right? The other roles that they have, which are redundant, is the benefits, the counseling they say that they don't have, and then some of the other things that they put on their flyers and everything like that. But like all of those things are redundant. Those services are on the federal side. Right. So because we are talking about how do we solve problems, right? And if we were to solve problems, because they have a huge manpower, and they've had it for years, even when I was working there as an intern, right? Here I am plugging in all these data points. Like I'm not even getting paid for this, but like that was my role. I wasn't even doing social work at the time. Anyways, so here I am trying to understand what's happening, right? And everybody's trying to do their job that they got hired for. They're not getting paid to accumulate data for a veteran headcount. Like that's not their role. So when you keep putting things that they have to do, like who's going to do that? Like we need to hire somebody else. And that is the issue that we have.
Right.
But if we repurpose some of those individuals that work there, that could be a compromise, right? So if we have somebody that is doing benefits and stuff, and there's other systems in place on Guam that help people with benefits, to include HMI, to include all those other organizations that are helping veterans with their benefits, push them off over there, since a lot of times they're pretty much successful with that, and then have those other people collect data points for the veteran count. We can solve an issue that we've had for a long time. When's the last time I was there? 2018, right? It's 2026. That's a long time.
Yep. And that's number 2 on their agenda. The agenda for, that Senator has is staff. Number 1 is relocation. Number 2 is staff. Number 3 is digitation of records, and then improvements to the Guam Veterans Cemetery. Now, moving on, implementation of Veterans Information Management System. And this is, Jose, you heard me earlier talking about the hazardous second floor. It's a video that Senator's office recorded when she went to visit them, when she became senator and chairperson of Veterans Affairs. It says implementation. It's 2026. Why hasn't a Veterans Information Management System been implemented already? All of our records we saw are just being put in boxes. That's why when some veterans go there and they say, oh, I went to the ASEAN office, looked for my DD-214, but they couldn't find it, but I know I turned it in there. What do you tell the veteran? And to your question, you're right, you said redundant. So the office in Tizen, they have a specific duty as well. They only do certain things. They don't do everything that our Guam office does. They don't handle our veteran license plates. They don't handle giving us the DD-214 that they had. They don't handle veteran burials. So there are a lot of things that Tizen does, ASEAN doesn't do, ASEAN does, Tizen doesn't do. So I'm not saying that they can't work together. We had a conversation with Anthony earlier. Do they work together? Do they collaborate with each other?
Okay, clarification. Are they different offices?
Yes. Federal and local.
Oh, federal and local.
Yes.
Oh, gosh.
We didn't even get started with the separation of the CBOC and the VBA, which are two totally different places.
So there's no consolidation and there's no oversight of that other office then. It's just, I'm sighing right now for those that don't see it.
And this is what veterans deal with every day. And that's why, we're always getting phone calls and texts like, where do I go for this? Where do I go for that? And, yes, HMI is here for everyone. But at the same time, why are these offices working? Why isn't anyone saying anything? Why isn't anyone sending anything out? I'm not complaining that we're the ones, but we do have the pulse of the veterans. We know what's happening locally and federally because guess what? We are also part of the Guam Veteran Task Force where the Congressman office comes and we relay a lot of information to his veteran liaison that he has there. And he's a veteran. And so we work seamlessly with that office because every time there's something federal that I need help with, I send them straight to the Congressman's office. Every time they have someone that needs help with something local and they don't handle it, they send them to us and then we send them to the resource. So that kind of collaboration, right? Is that happening with the federal office and the local office? Probably not. Probably not. That's the next thing on the agenda. Establishment of interagency data sharing frameworks, right? Like you said earlier, the Congressman Berdalio had a number, and then the local office had a number, and then VBA probably had a number, and VHA had a number.
Yep.
Well, last year when we had our symposium, Congressman did share his numbers. Over 20,000 veterans are in Guam. And where he got that number?
No. I mean, share the numbers to consolidate it. Because, most likely you're going to double your numbers if you match it.
Oh, definitely. Because
but you can't share that information because that information has personal information.
Well, no, not names and not socials, but how many veterans are here.
Yeah, but you can't add numbers.
Right.
Through organizations because you may have duplicates.
That's true. So the stakeholders would know, and they should be working together to filter it out or to consolidate it so that no personal information is shared. Yes. And then we already talked about the GOVA website. Social media presence, they have a Facebook and they have an Instagram, which I'm not sure who's handling it now since Tanya no longer works there. Public information campaigns, they send it out, but through email, because I've been emailed a lot from the GOVA office. Partnerships with other veteran organizations. Sometimes it seems like they only favor one. And then finances. This is what the Senator Mancinani is always stay on top of. Where's the funding? Did you lose your funding? Where's your staff? Did you hire the staff? Any federal grants? I know one that, Tom Matta was following was the cemetery grant. Where's the cemetery grant at? Special funds, cemetery trust fund, and plot allowances from the VA. So a lot of veteran families don't know that they get reimbursables. I know, right? Gosh, so much to talk about.
Yeah.
We're always going to be not enough time. Did you want to say anything before we end?
No, a lot of information that came out. Hopefully you guys got the understanding that it's Mental Health Month and you should be taking care of yourself. So if you need help, just ask for it.
And our podcast aired at 6:30. I forgot about that to announce that. And as always, I stay ready, stay informed, and thank you for your service. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening.
The Point is KUSG, Hagåtña, Guam, 93.3 FM and 104.3 HD3.
The passengers back home in the U.S. I'm Ted Lindner. This is a Fox News alert. 17 American passengers from the cruise ship hit by the hantavirus outbreak have now arrived home. HHS says one of them showing mild symptoms, while a second American tested positive but has no symptoms. Fox's Jonathan Savage with the latest for us this morning.
A French woman evacuated from the cruise ship hit by hantavirus is in the hospital, her health worsening, and tests confirm she has contracted the respiratory disease. 3 passengers